We have our form now showing in our Contact Us page, but we still need to reintroduce our Bootstrap CSS. We can add this directly into Contact Form 7, and we'll do this in just a moment. First though, we need to deal with the slightly trickier surrounding form element over in the page contactus.php. Inside of here, with our original form, we had a class of text left. If we now go and take a look at our Contact Form 7 version, inside of the developer tools, right click and inspect. Use the selector to grab our form. So this is the form just here. Let's take a look at this. This form has a auto-generated form wrapper, so we need to add our class to this. As we can see, we just have a auto-generated class and no reference to our text left. For this situation, we need to add the class to our shortcode directly using the attribute called HTML_class. So inside of our square brackets for the shortcode, HTML_class, and we need to set this to a string, which is our class name of text-left. So now let's save this and go back over to the browser and reload. And we can see straight away that the form is over on the left. And inside of our class section, we have the class of text-left. If we also needed to add a custom ID, we could do this with a HTML_ID attribute. And again, adding this to the shortcode. The rest of the styling is added directly into our form over in the dashboard. Beginning with our form group wrapper, which we had over in HTML, which is this surrounding div. This goes around each one of our form inputs, so we need to add this in 3 times. Let's make some space and add our div, the opening tag, with the class of form group. I'm just going to copy this line here, close this div off. Then we can add our second surrounding form group around the email. And then our third one is for the message. Close this off just below. And that's now all 3 wrapped. We'll then need to add our attributes back into these inputs using the colon syntax, just like this. So inside of these square brackets, we can add a class to our name. This is going to be a class of form control. These are the classes again inside of our input. So we've got the class of form control, the ID of name, and we can also add a placeholder inside of here too. We don't need any separating commas, so we can just go ahead and add our ID, which is going to be the name. The next one is the placeholder. This is going to be a string. And in fact, we don't need a colon for this one. This is enter your name. And the 3 dots afterwards. Next up, we have the email. We can do exactly the same inside of the square brackets. This has the same class of form control, the ID of email, and also the placeholder as a string. So enter your email. Finally, the text area. This also has a class of form control. The ID this time is message. We can also add the number of rows, which is going to be 3. Next, we have the submit button, and this has 2 classes in our code. If we look at the bottom, this has a class of btn and btn primary. With the submit button using Contact Form 7 though, we need to add in the class attribute twice for this, since it doesn't like the white spaces in between. So just after submit, we can add our first class, which is btn, a second class of btn primary, and then the text of send message, ... And now if we hit save, the save button in the corner, head over to our project and refresh this. The form styling is getting pretty close, but it's still not the full width which we had before. This is because of a difference between our HTML and the way it is output by Contact Form 7. We had our labels followed by the inputs, both elements alongside each other in the code. but this plugin will nest the input inside of the label. All we need to do to fix this is to make the label 100% wide inside of our style.css. We can do this outside of the media query. We can remove this tag offers section. We can add the custom contact form 7 class, which is WPCF 7-form. Target the label. Then some simple CSS to set this to a width of 100%. So give this a save. There we go, that's our contact form now back to being full width. Just before we wrap this video up, let's go over to our contact form inside of the dashboard. Then we have some more tabs just next to our form. Here we can select the email address where we want our messages to go to. By default, this is the one which is provided with our site when we set this up. We can also pass in lots of different information, such as the subject, and also how the message is laid out. Inside the messages section, we also have lots of messages we can edit, such as the pop-up when the message was sent successfully, if it has failed, also if any validation errors occur too. Also, there's an additional settings section here if you want to go into any more advanced features, if the default functionality doesn't cover anything you need. This is it now for the contact form styling, so I'll see you in the next video where we'll add Google Fonts.